Hi, welcome to Impossible Live. Welcome back if you're joining us again. Let us know where you're popping in and joining us from, and whether you're watching us live or on a replay. One of the things I'd love to invite you to do as we're settling in and getting to know today's session title a little bit better is that today's song is by George Benson. And I love me some George Benson, but this song, this Masquerade, is is one of those vintage songs. It was written by Leon Russell, and I'd love to welcome you as LinkedIn is now live on our end, and to send you a little bit of a toast to kind of start your day. And depending on where you're joining us from, there's a lot happening in what I call our fragile world. And I want to thank Bill Russell for sending a message today. Hey, Mel, I can't find your live stream. And I have to really thank him because it's a real reminder when we're not sure how we show up or what our roles are or what our viewpoints are or what our angle is on a specific day. I did something that I rarely do this weekend, and I took the entire weekend off. I cooked for family. We celebrated at a tree trimming, and yesterday kind of slept in with some real self-care as we received some lots of, shall we say, disturbing news this weekend. And for those of you who are sorting through your own news while you're sorting through the holidays, while you're deciding, hey, Jackie, how are you? Warm welcome. And Jackie, thanks for popping in today. And for those of you who are on LinkedIn, Jackie has an amazing show. And I think it starts with Jax and guests, Jax. I am delighted and honored you're with me today. And I'm really looking forward to being a guest on Jackie's show next year, but also just in this process of how we show up. And think of that behind this masquerade. We have a choice of how we show up. We have a choice of when we show up. We have a choice of if we show up. And sometimes the roles that we're in. And that's really behind today's session title, Reflections, this masquerade. Because yesterday I had an opportunity to connect with an amazing member of a community that I'm in. And it was really the right time. And I had crappy Wi-Fi. And we know what that's like. You know, the Wi-Fi is not working, the tech isn't working. And I found a really, really patient gentleman who's just like, hey, let's just chat with our cameras off. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know Simon a bit better. And what was really interesting was Simon, we're going to have a chance to collaborate on some projects in the new year. And I'm really excited about that. But in this process of this masquerade, there are times when we feel like we're wearing a mask. And sometimes the different roles, we don't really feel it. And yep, you're right, Jackie. You're right. It's rough news all weekend. And sometimes we're in a world where the news isn't always isn't always good. It's not always bringing the warm, the light, the fuzzy. And I have a picture from ages ago from an amazing event that Monica Jones hosted. She had a French masquerade ball, and she was about to leave the Hudson Valley, and she was heading to France, and she had this French masquerade ball, and I had to get a mask. And it was really interesting because it made me really think about how, when we wear a mask, how in our different roles, how do we want to show up? And what I really appreciated about Monica's amazing event was my parents came. They drove up from the city. And my dad had an opportunity to meet a dear friend of ours who eventually became really, really important to him in terms of his relationships, and a friend whose wedding my parents and I attended together. And it's probably the last wedding that we had a chance to attend. But it's the reminder in these cycles of news that we're not sure we want to carry, when the roles demand we show up in a different way. You'll notice I'm wearing mom's scarf again, and I had a scarf for mom in the back of our SUV that was totaled. And when we saw each other for Thanksgiving, I said, Mom, I need another mom scarf. So this is one of the two mom scarves that I picked up. And it's the reminder, whether you're the family member, the entrepreneur, you're the student, you're the parent, we have different roles in our families and in our businesses. And and it really changes how we show up. So Masquerade is one of those songs that I know every single note of. You could probably, if we weren't named that tune, I could tell you this song in my sleep, half asleep. And besides the fact that I love George Benson and I've seen him a bunch of times, and you'll see that in the link that it's shared. But today, I put today's event up less than an hour ago. I never do that. And it's a real reminder in the roles that I was really reminded as we were celebrating with family and cooking for family for holiday events this weekend. I made a pie for the first time in 25 years, a pecan pie and a chocolate pecan pie last week. And they came out pretty good, I heard. But I think the roles we play, I don't normally show up as the short order cook in my kitchen. That's not what Mel does. I'm very grateful. My love is the amazing short order cook who, you know, as you would say, you need our different roles call for us to lighten or brighten. And in some cases, they're roles that aren't so easy, and they're not always light and bright. We can be a facilitator. We can be the person in the front of the room. And while we're doing virtual toasts, this virtual toast is to our dear friends who are celebrating Hanukkah. And in some cases, celebrating Hanukkah with one less chair around the table, and celebrating Hanukkah through the lens of the Festival of Light. And that meaning having been changed a little bit by yesterday's news. And from the perspective that, and I'm thankful Jackie's here on the other end, because whenever we're talking about these really serious, serious things, those are the days I laugh, when the tech doesn't always work. You're not always sure that um, that that someone's able to receive our connection, like yesterday about not having the Wi-Fi. But the masquerade part, that part about wearing masks, years ago, this title reminded me, as I put it up earlier, of a picture of a mask that, and it's my favorite color, it's teal. And it's a mask that I wanted to wear at Monica's event. I ended up wearing a different mask because my mom's like, that is not a mask that you should be wearing from the door. And mom gave me this mask that looks like it's something out of Clockwork Orange. But it reminds me, as a family member, as we're processing news, as we're processing the different lens, we're in situations in which there's a different role, there's a different beat, there's something that calls to how we show up. And sometimes, just like yesterday, for a lot of families, as they're celebrating the Festival of Lights, and they're trying to do it through a lens of keeping their spirits up, of greeting their children, of greeting their family members as people are hosting. It's the reminder sometimes. It's not always the warm and fuzzy. And for those of you who join us regularly, you'll know that a lot of our session titles have been around music. And yep, we're going through the vintage. And as you're discovering music you love, I want to thank you for sharing some of those titles with us, and for amazing guests who suggest other titles that become session titles. But in this process of reflections about Masquerade, we need to really remember everybody's carrying something. Some of it's not so light, some of it's not so pretty, some of it doesn't have a beautiful holiday bow on it. It doesn't always look like something out of those car commercials where you see that new vehicle with the big beautiful bow on it. It's not so carefully wrapped. It doesn't always sound like it fits in with the tempo. And from that perspective, we need to always be really conscious. Everybody else is carrying something in a workplace, across cultures, across time zones, across generations. Had the most amazing conversation with uh, a brilliant young man by the name of Bryce. And Bryce will be job hunting shortly as he graduates from Temple University next year. And one of the things I love about my conversation with Bryce was the last time I had a chance to really sit down and speak with this amazing young man was as he celebrated and as family celebrated his high school graduation. It was really kind of neat to sit with him and sit with him in a space where we ended up in a corner, and there are a bunch of generations between us. Bryce could be my grandson. And what I laugh as I'm saying that is the different masks we wear. And Bryce was so cute because I asked him, was he on LinkedIn? So we are now connected on LinkedIn. And for those of you in the Pennsylvania or the Maryland areas, or even somewhere in the DMV who are going to be looking for amazing new talents to come join you, I want you to think of Bryce. I was so reminded as this amazing young man shared his voice with me. And we ended up kind of chit chatting for about an hour, hour and a half. It was great to have such a deep conversation. It gave me hope, and it really lifted my spirit in what I realized was a season, complex season. I'm always chatting about them, of gratitude, grief, and growth. And you'll notice that is one of our upcoming titles this month. But as you're joining us here, just take a minute, take a breath, take a moment to lift. You'll notice this picture up here is a picture of my parents. I finally uncovered it, discovered it as I'm sitting in a room with probably 100 pictures because I needed the lift of family during a season of thinking about guardian angels. And rather than focus on the heaviness of loss, to be lifted by the light of these beautiful memories. And here's Leslie Flowers. Speaking of beautiful memories, Leslie Flowers is one of the reasons why Mel is still doing Impossible Live. And I have to thank you for that. Leslie added me to her amazing carousel that she puts out on LinkedIn. And she puts it on LinkedIn to help others who are hosting live streams to discover each other. And for those of you who haven't had a chance to meet her, this amazing woman hosts multiple uplifting rooms and has an amazing show about Think and Grow Rich. And she lifts us with light. In the same chance, Leslie helped remind me during this complex season, I needed to get back to naps. So I have to thank you, Leslie, because Mel is back to Mel. I now have 3 or 4 naps during a week. Power naps, longer naps. And as we're saying, just time basically to kind of recover and reset. But as you are in different, hey, Lachelle, Lachelle, American Supermom. Happy birthday weekend, beautiful, and happy birthday month. I can't wait because I'm finally going to meet Lachelle in person in January and some amazing members of her Elephant Strategy Club. This one's for you, beautiful. How are you? You're going to smile because Today's mug is from the Turks and Caicos, and I can't wait in May to go back and see that beautiful blue water. But as Leslie's saying about look, and I was reminded of this by Shel Shapiro. Look around us. Look around us on the platforms we're on the places and the spaces where we share our voices, where we're showing up in the different roles. And as you know, I am really, really grateful for amazing energy. And as Jackie, Lachelle, and Leslie are here, and for those of you who will catch us on a replay, just want to thank you for the energies that you bring into Impossible Live, and to thank you for all you do to lift and make love a little lighter and brighter. And yes, Lachelle, I'm so excited for January too. So Lachelle is a beautiful gift from the universe. I met her at a time, a time that Lachelle has no idea. And I've said this to others who she's introduced me to, and in our conversations about Lachelle's the first person who helped me learn to pay attention to mental health, to pay attention to the energies behind that I was expending in the process of building networks and process of building a business, and now in relaunching as Be Visible Solutions. But in January, Kimberly Lechnick is in the house. For those of you who are on LinkedIn, if you haven't met these amazing women who are joining us live, check them out. Click on their profiles. And for every parent who's experiencing a little bit of overwhelm right now, check out Kimberly Lechnick. Check out Lachelle, who has 15 children, America's Supermom. And check out Leslie. And the reason why I love the opportunity to shout these amazing professionals and talents out is they've all got very vibrant voices. They're all, in this case, and as the gentlemen join us later on replays or on YouTube, these amazing ladies they lift us up. And that's what we really need in this masquerade, in this variety of the roles that we are approaching. And we're not sometimes sure whether we have the energy to support the mask we're wearing. Lachelle wrote an amazing book about masks, and I'll ask her to share a link in the chat, and we'll reshare it on other platforms about the masks we wear. And music helps lift the mask for me. And I learned that from my dad, who's here in the photo. And I think and also learned it from my retired first responder. They're our musical people. Hey, Christy, how are you? Warm welcome back to Impossible Live. And I think it's, as we're approaching the masks we wear, and they'll increase over the holidays, they'll increase over the New Year's, they'll increase as there are holiday parties and situations that you're encountering over work, as you're attending graduation ceremonies for our young people who are working so hard, like Amazing Bryce, that need to kind of feel like we're mixing it up. I found in this season, in this heavier season, wearing mom's scarf is lifting my spirits and my energy. This picture of my parents' hair, which now you can see, and behind it is a picture of the Twin Towers, which next year is Never Forget Year 2025. And it's hard as I'm reaching for the words, the reminder that behind each mask, behind each lift, we need others to keep helping us lift our energies. And the reminder to show up. I really was offline all weekend, except for seeing some chats that Kimberly Lechnick was in. And I have to thank you for them. And also the reminder that my mask this weekend was the mask of family member and the mask of really, woohoo, Lachelle gave us a link. And the mask really of remembering to really stay centered on the process of helping our bonus mom celebrate for her tree trimming. As I baked pies and I hadn't baked in 25 years. And I thought I lost the touch because I'm not a baker. But everybody, they seem to not have any food poisoning. I will bake again. But this amazing link that Lachelle put up is for her book about masks. We all wear them. We all have them. Some of us avoid them. We're in work situations where people want to know, as Ari's Yo always helps me explore, and Kimberly has too, authenticity and intentionality. I had to learn for me the the thing I really needed to check out behind that was being genuine. And as I almost paused hosting Impossible Lives this fall, because Mel needed some more energy and I wasn't sure where it was coming from, that it was a reminder to really lean in. We don't think of the mask that we're forced to wear from the second you walk into a building, a family, from how we say good morning, or how Lachelle, who also has the acronym SMILE, it changes our beat and our rhythm. And Jackie, yup, we got a lot of awesome ladies in the house. And I appreciate you because today was a day I didn't think the tech was going to work again. We have 6 inches of snow, there's a little bit of wind, didn't really have a good Wi-Fi connection earlier. Really grateful for my amazing team members who were able to co-host and be really patient when my Zoom or tech is glitchy. But as you're wearing masks this week, as you're stepping out around the holidays, need you to know Milla's sharing a bit more of her layers, where Lachelle will laugh because We Rise and Soar Lachelle is back on Friday. I'm having an open house. You'll see the event pop up shortly on LinkedIn. And yep, and we're hosting an event alchemy. So as Leslie would say, this is a week of a couple of events. And Leslie says, do I think it's possible to be ourselves wherever we go and shed the mask forever? Leslie, I think it's possible to always tap into what's genuine, what's real. And I think the word forever is the part in here that I'm not really sure of. A good example is as I'm hanging around with the matriarchs, the octogenarians in our family, and I'm grateful for everyone. They're looking for me to wear a variety of the masks that reminds them of the Mel when I was 10 years old. They're not looking for the facilitator. They're not looking for the coach that's certified in trust. They don't want to talk about events. They are just looking for support so that they're able to wear whatever mask they're wearing in a day. And I think it is possible as we grow up, as we explore our voices, as we find more amazing people to support us, that we need to be in spaces where we're really allowed to be genuine. It's one of the reasons why all these amazing ladies I'm shouting out, they encourage us to show up as we are. And I think, Leslie, yep, do we reach a point where we have the freedom to shed the mask forever? And I think that happens sometimes privately, sometimes it's publicly, sometimes it's in really small spaces. But I think in terms of the mask, I think the mask always exists. It's another reason why I asked Lachelle to share her book. Sometimes a mask is necessary as an employee, as a facilitator. I remember facilitating a couple of conversations after a national election last year. And it was the day after Election Day. And you'll laugh because I made sure this year that I wasn't facilitating anything on Election Day. I learned that day that I was there and I was reminded to hold space for others. It wasn't about the space for me. So others were sharing their opinions honestly across miles, across cultures, across generations, across genders, and across identities. And it wasn't my role that day was to hold space for them. It wasn't to share my insights. And I think sometimes in terms of shedding the mask, it's about shedding layers. It's about shedding our skin. It's about the exploring and having the courage to reveal. Heads up warning, when I see Lachelle in a month, my beautiful retired first responder has already been warned that I'll just need to sit for a little bit and just drink her in. I probably won't be able to speak for a little while. I will end up with warm tears in my eyes at the gratitude that I'm finally able to express and share gratitude to her in person. And I think that's the thing that really encouraged me to get deeper into trust. Trust is an emotion. And if we don't trust ourselves, we, as Leslie said, and we're going to revisit this and invite Leslie sometime to come in and pop in and talk with us more about this. We have to trust ourselves, and discovering self-trust, self-love, self-care, self-empathy. It's a challenging to do. It's always not so easy. And on that note, I want to say thank you. Because as Leslie would say, we've had a bit more than our 22 minutes today. I'm delighted these fantastic ladies have popped in. Check out their live streams, check out their voices, shout out their channels, shout out their podcasts, check them out on YouTube, share them with someone you know who needs some help shedding their mask. And for those of you who we have not had a chance to meet, I hope we have a chance to fix that over the new year. And I cannot thank you enough for joining us today for Impossible Live. Thank you for all you're doing to lighten and brighten our fragile world, to make today an easier day to show up without any masks. That's just Mel. Stay safe, stay well, stay inspired, and stay in touch. And I hope you have a magnificent and a peaceful day filled with blessings, with opportunities and possibilities. Take great, great care. And if you have a chance, let's hang out a little bit later in our Event Alchemy community tomorrow and in our We Rise and Soar community as it relaunches on Friday. Take great care. Be well, and please stay safe.